of the organization Sigma Pi Phi. The head man of the organization is called the Grand Sire Archon. A-R-C-H-O-N is what a member is called after they have been inducted. They're an Archon. He was the Grand Poobah from 1908 to 1909. Then became Grand Sire Archon Emeritus. The Grand Sire Archon is the head of the national Boule. The head of the local Boule is called Sire Archon. So the head of the LA chapter is Sire Archon. A member in any Boule is called just Archon. So as Archon is a member, Sire Archon is the local head, Grand Sire Archon is the only head, the titular head. The Grand Sire Archon and those other top positions of the Boule have absolute and supreme authority over every Boule chapter, which are called subordinate chapters. Every subordinate chapter of the Boule is compelled to respond to the wishes of the Grand Sire Archon and the executive committee. This is a discussion about what Minton was thinking about in 1904 when he wanted to set up the organization. This is from the history of Sigma Pi Phi. That's the history book of the organization. The history of Sigma Pi Phi is written by an alpha named Charles Wesley, who wrote the history book for A Phi A as well. Didn't he? Didn't he? And then the alpha's here? And yes, okay, he did write it, yes. In that, he said, in summary, Minton wanted to create an organization which would partake, in his own words, of, quote, the tenets of Skull and Bones at Yale. Now, in the July 18th article on Skull and Bones, on the Boule in the LA Times, and I'm going to show you the original article that we first found on the subject, and I want to show you what it says, because in the article you get the impression. And I just want to, when they say Skull and Bones at Yale, that's what they're talking about. That's the logo for Skull and Bones at Yale. Now, who would want to be patterned after that? Because that doesn't look positive to me. Now, you're already a damn Greek. Now you done went and got some poison. So that's a double header. Okay, I'm looking for you this opening article. Here we go. This is a little hard to see when I'm up here, so it's a little difficult. Let me take this off. It's a little warm in here. It's even warmer up here. This is the original LA Times article. Everybody see that? Did you see that when it ran in 1990? You did see it. No, you didn't see it.
What's the date on it?
That's July 18th, 1990. Elite Fraternity Widens Agenda of Black Men. This is the original article that came out on the Boule that we just casually discussed here at The Good Life, which led to this penetration. Because by the time Brother Oswald gets up and starts decodifying a little of that symbolism, you will see that we have in fact cracked a riddle that has contained our people. Our people have been contained by an organized element of secret people who have used riddles, mysteries, and secret societies to jam us. And what we are doing is we are unlocking or decodifying the mystery, because once decodified and exposed, those who were secret in the light will not be as effective. Which must be our goal, since liberation is not theirs. You can't liberate as a Greek. You can't liberate in the name of Greece. So you may, everybody say, well, you know, Steve, is really a black thing. It may be. But you ain't going to liberate called A Phi A. Now, watch this. come the men of Sigma Pi Phi, a once secret black fraternity. That celebrates the professional and material success of black men. Have we had much material success? Well, anyway, you can just see how they spend their time. They have big, every year, they have big picnics, big annual picnics every chapter. We need to find the park where the new chapter, the LA chapter meets at, because they're going to have a big picnic somewhere, preferably in the Greek neighborhood. So we have to find where they're going to be at, so we can go to the picnic. Don't you want to go to the Boule picnic? Sure. Jack. Known as Boule, pronounced Boule. The group is here. You see, Boule, B-O-U-L-E. Known as the Boule, the group is here this week for its biennial meeting, and it's look at an agenda for the black male in the 90s. Now, Louis Sullivan, who is head of Health and Human Services, is a Boule member. In fact, a little later on, you'll see him talking about him speaking. It was not in this one, it's in the other one, where he's speaking. There's talking about Louis Sullivan's name right there. U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Louis Sullivan. Well, this was about assisting the young black male. Says, are focusing more on social activism. Too many young black men, said the civil rights group, are underemployed, alternatively feared, and reveled, and living at a risk. So they're going to help young black men. So how did Louis Sullivan try to help young black men?
National Violence Initiative.
The National Violence Initiative. He sought to chemically bust their skulls open and penalize them for being chemically imbalanced, which means they were disturbing the Greeks. How many of you all saw ABC last night? I asked everybody to watch the program, which was talking about the Violence Initiative. And did you see the story after that too? Which was just as deep. The sister from Chicago working for the Koreans, paid by the United Way. Just like we talked about on the radio. And there was a white man saying that we're not going to let certain prisoners out of jail until we prove they're chemically balanced. Now you imagine you done your time and a motherfucker telling you 40 degrees off balance. Oh brother, this is deep. This sounds funny, but if we don't get together and kick some ass, they're going to cut all us open. We all going to be walking around like this here. We act a little like this now, only we do the bunking. Now, watch this. Watch this. Watch this. This I thought was interesting. Almost sounds accidental. Like Yale Skull and Bones, secret society to which George Bush belongs, the Boule has been criticized by some as a social anachronism and has challenged members to change its image. Like Yale Skull and Bones secret society. You see, when you hear that, that almost sounds like it's probably like Yale Skull and Bones. But then when you actually see that it isn't just like it, it was made like it. You see what she did? You see how the article kind of hid the fact that it was pledged to be like Skull and Bones at Yale. See, like Yale Skull and Bones, it doesn't say patterned off of or vowed on the tenets of. It doesn't affirm it as well as we found it when we got the damn book. You see, someone said, well, brother, now we got the article. What more will we need to look for? Is that once someone that we don't like writes something, we know there are 10 times more things there once we get it. Anybody that looked at anything, I try to look over it because my eyes look for different things. And all of these people together. Now, I must tell the story again for the record, for those who don't know. I lectured at Morgan State. I left here in Los Angeles, went to Morgan State in Baltimore, gave a lecture. In fact, Christian Gregory, who was just in the jet, Dick Gregory's son, was the head of the student government there, brought me there to Morgan State. I did the little piece on the Boule. A sister in the audience heard the lecture, went to her teacher, who was asking her to write a term paper. She said, I'm going to write it on the Boule and Skull and Bones, because I heard the guy mention it at the lecture hall. And he said, well, I'm in the Boule. I can't wait to see it. He asked to take her to lunch. She's a very nice looking sister. He asked to take her to lunch. She called me up. I come back to L.A. She called me here in L.A. at the hotel. Asked me what should she do. I asked her if she could have lunch with him without lifting up her skirt. Because that's what the Boule wanted. Wanted the Boule Day. So, Sister proudly called that she had gotten a history book from him, which has a huge blue cover. It's coded in blue. Their colors are blue and white. It's a big blue color. We know blue as the color that represents the lower lodges of Freemasonry. Those are the blue lodges, the 1, 2, 3 lodges. And we know the tenet that holds the blue lodge together is the code of silence. That's what holds the blue lodge together. The code, that's all they learned. The secrets have not really been taught them, because they're not taught to them till later on, but they think they know. But the 1, 2, 3 lodge is about testing their ability to keep the damn mouth shut. All right, give me a check on that.
Yeah.
That's why the United Nations is called the Blue Helmets.
That's right.
That's why the police are the men in blue, or the blue lights.
Check.
Because that's what they, and that's why their organization is called the Fraternal Order of Police. And I don't know what Willie Williams thinks, but if you take a white boy that's been my enemy, that supported Gates, supported every beating of your head every time, and make that asshole motherfucker deputy mayor over the brother.
That's right.
I'm telling y'all, y'all in big trouble. Y'all excuse my language, but I want to emphasize. I wanted to emphasize the danger of the head of the Fraternal Order of Police becoming deputy mayor for public services.
That's right.
You might not care about politics, and I don't either. They're all whores.
That's right.
But we better not let them turn a trick and one of them legs kick us in the face. So for no other reason, do it for that reason. Boule is a Greek word designating a council of community leaders who advise kings. Now a question ought to come up. I understand what a counselor does, but who the fuck is the king? Now we have a tape where, you all remember the book called Black Power?
Yeah.
It's written by who?
Charles Hamilton.
And Charles Hamilton. Very good. Charles Hamilton, 4 years after he wrote Black Power, joined the Boule. As he then went, started making $100,000 with the Rockefeller Foundation. He went on Bob Law's show recently in New York, and the Cochleyites in the bowels of Brooklyn, Harlem, and the other bowels of New York jumped him on the Bob Law show about this Boule thing. And they misstated the challenge by saying, I think it's a Latin word. He said, yeah, it's a Latin word. But we know it's Greek. He gave him the decoy. They said, who is the king that you serve? And he said, I don't really know nothing about that king thing. We don't serve any king. I mean, we have meetings and stuff, but we don't know of any king. Well, why then do you call yourself that? In your own history book, you will see that you call yourselves the advisors to the king. And the question comes up, if it ain't so, why do you say so? But see, basically, they don't think you have the information. Oh, just for the record, the day the Boule was founded, for those of you who do numerological analysis, and I know some of you are into the numbers, the historic date of the founding of the Boule, for the record, is May 15th, 1904. That is the birth date of Sigma Pi Phi, and it should be written indelibly on the memory of all members in the fraternity. This day was for Boule its Founders' Day. For on this day, the decision was made to establish this first of the fraternities for college graduates. This date, or the date of the May meeting nearest May 15th, has been celebrated as Founders' Day. Now, if you all were at AMU one night, that we did a lecture called L.A. Boule Coup d'etat Implications, where I talked about the coup d'etat and the JFK movie and about the Boule, and there was a guy sitting in the front row who was in the Boule.
That's right.
And he said to the audience that he doesn't even read his history book. But we know from the history book that every chapter must review the history book during the month of May. But again, they never count on you having the history book, so they don't answer you as if you know. They answer as if you don't know or never know. That's why they don't like us like they do. Because we're arming you and putting you in a position to demand answers to questions that they never expected they'd have to give up.
That's right.
This is compelling. We're going to look at some codified things that they talk about. There's some funny things they say. From their history book is another dialogue we want to look at. This is, as you can see, History of Sigma Pi Phi. As you see, I write on my stuff. The things you read, write on. Talk to it. Hold it for a while. Quit throwing it away as soon as you get it. In your house, there's a lot of pressure not to be junky. You'd rather be dead than junky. You'll be dead because you won't read and study, and you don't study because you don't store it. How can you study unless you store it? So because you have pressure to be neat and cool and clean and look like ultra sheen, you throw away the information and fight the dust busters. I suggest your houses need to get slightly more junky.
That's right.
As you start taping on the wall the information so you can study it, sleep it, dream it, wish it. Pray for the right that you're given the axe the night we have to slay Goliath's head. Pray you get a slash.
That's right.
Your children are going to ask you, Mama, Daddy, where were you when the liberation came down? Were you in on the victory?
That's right.
Have something to tell your children.
Sure. Sure.
Page 38 of the history book. In the building of the organizational plan. See, what was the niggas thinking about? That's what was the niggas thinking?